Chapter 28. Meetings. Cat, I said. My head went off to one side. Even though Cat's voice was like a supersonic boom spit in my eardrum, I was glad. Mr. Shepherd says to remember to smile when you greet people, so I smiled. Cat? Cat looked all around. Her voice dropped to a hiss. Are you on your own? Yes. Auntie Chloe, Mum, they're not with you? No. They're still at home? Yes. You didn't give me away? No. She hugged me. Go, bro. So where do you think they are? My hand flapped. I stopped it by holding it down with my other hand. Not at Tiffany's, Cat, I said. They think we've gone swimming. Cat looked at me, her head waggling like one of those toys that sit in the back of the cars. Another lie, Ted. One of these days you'll nearly be normal. I told her about finding my way on the tube, how I'd cracked the missing letters, how I'd phoned frontline security and spoken to the temp. I met her, Cat said. I went round her in person. Her name's Claudette. She smokes Charisma cigarettes. She mentioned you, I said. She said you'd been looking for the same man. And Cat? What? That was a good lie you told. Which one? The one about the asthma inhaler? Yeah, I proved that. I was proud of that. It worked too. She told me his name, Christy, and where he was. Then she told me about all of his love life. She said she was bored as hell. She filed her nails, chewed gum, and smoked all at once. And guess what else? What? She offered me a fag. I took it too. Huh? Don't me, Ted. I didn't smoke it. Not really. I had a puff or two, but it wasn't really my brand. It tasted like cowshed. We walked around the first hall together. Cat didn't seem to mind me being there. Her eyes darted everywhere, and she whispered, "Oh, what I would do to have one of my own." She started picking up the biker language. Hondas, VFR, Wells, Firebolt, Guzzi, she muttered, dragging me around the stands. I could hardly keep up. She pointed at the metallic paintwork, admiring the biggest, fastest models. She was in biker paradise. I was in biker hell. Why, I wondered. Couldn't we have tracked the strange man to somewhere more tranquil? A flower or antique show, maybe? Or somewhere really interesting, like the Science Museum? Then we saw him. Him. He was standing 6 metres away in the same clothes he'd worn the day at the London Eye, minus a jacket, talking into a two-way radio. Cat dragged me behind a stand and I tugged away from her. "Don't let him see you," she hissed. "Why not?" "I'm not handling this one by myself." "But, no buts. I'm coming too, Cat." "No, you're not. That's an order." "An order?" "Yeah, I can give them because I'm older." "I'm wiser," you said. "Rubbish." "You did, Cat. You said you needed my brains." Cat's nostrils quivered. She does that when she's about to erupt like a supervolcano. Then she forgot and gripped me instead. "He's walking this way," she whispered. He was right in front of us. Cat stepped forward. "Excuse me, sir," she called. The man was talking to his radio. He turned round and saw Cat, put up a hand and went on talking, and waited. "Over and out," he said on the radio. He stared straight at Cat. "What can I do for you, young lady?" he said. "Are you lost?" Then he smiled. It was a smile I didn't like. One eyebrow went up. His head tilted and he looked Cat up and down. Then he noticed me. My hand flapped up and my head was off to one side. His eyes opened wide and his mouth parted slightly. Then he looked over his shoulder and shifted from one foot to the other. A second later, his face changed back to a smile. A nanosecond flicker. "You lost?" he repeated. Cat smiled back. "No," she said. "On you go then. Have fun." "We're not lost," Cat explained, "but we know somebody who is." "Oh?" "We thought you might be able to help." "If you've lost somebody, go to the information desk. They'll make an announcement." "He didn't get lost here. He got lost 2 days ago. At the London Eye?" The man shrugged. "So?" "I mean, really lost. The police are looking for him. It was just after you came up to us and gave us that ticket, remember?" The man stared at us for a long time. I looked at his eyes. They narrowed slightly and the pupils seemed to get smaller. "The eye," he said. "So that's where I've seen you before. I never forget a face." "You remember?" "Now I do. I'm frightened of heights, you see. I get terrible vertigo. You're the kids who gave the tickets to, aren't you? But I don't know anything about your lost friend. Fancy our meeting up again. Coincidence, huh?" I was about to tell him about the letters on his t-shirt, but Cat elbowed me, which means shut up. "Yeah, coincidence," she said. "Do you like motorbikes?" "Yeah," Cat said. "They're great. It's a fantastic show this year. Best ever. Did you see the freestyle jumps?" "Yeah." "Did you like them?" "They were awesome." "If I were you, I'd go back to the hall too. They're giving lessons on the lighter scooters in a minute or two." "Really? You'll be zooming around the cones in no time at all. Honest? Sure thing. Off you go. Talk to my mate John in there. He'll get you on a bike for the first, if you mention me. Hey, thanks. Don't mention it. I hope you find your friend. He saluted us with his radio, smiled and walked off. I said. Kat's head went off to one side. Her face fell. Hell, she said. We stood together, jostled by passers-by, and watched the strange man disappear into the crowd, just as he'd done at the London Eye. Dead end, Kat said. I might have guessed. Guessed what? I asked. It was a road to nowhere. The road to nowhere, I repeated. Stop repeating everything I say. Let's check out those scooter lessons. She dragged me back to second hall and found the man called John. I watched as she mounted a scooter, helmeted. She rode away. She wobbled, swerved, revved and giggled. My hand flapped up every time she turned because it looked like she was going to come off and break her neck. She wound around the corner and the cones and gathered speed. I watched and I shut my eyes and put my hand in my jacket pocket. Then I thought, Salem vanishing, the police searching, Aunt Gloria wailing, Mum raging, Cat crying, me lying. The strange man. His eyes, his face and eyes when he first saw us. The girl who did the first jump, vertigo and claustrophobia. My brain whirred, like the bikes. I opened my eyes. Cat got off the scooter and she gave back the helmet. She came up to me, smiling with wide open eyes. Ted, that was great. You should try it. I shook my head. I quoted a graffiti I'd seen on the tube. No way. I'd been on that bike and I'd been round those cones, Ted. And do you know what? What? When I'm on that bike, that's when I can think. Think? Yeah. I was on the bike and I couldn't hear the noise. The voices faded. I was really on my own. Really on my own. All I could hear were my thoughts. My thoughts about Salem. That's when I knew it, Ted. Knew what? Knew he was lying. That man, Christie, he was lying. I nodded. I'd reached the same conclusion via a process of deductive thought. Our minds had met, which is a way to say that we were thinking the same thing at the same time, which was a rare thing between Cat and me. Yes, Cat, he was lying. Maybe it's because I'd become a liar myself. I'd known that day. They say it takes one to know one. I'd known almost as soon as he'd left us that he'd lied. I wasn't so much about what he'd said as to how he tried to distract us from what he wanted us to know. He had a mini Coriolis force trying to deflect us. There'd been another thing, a contradiction. At the London Eye, he said he'd decided against the ride because he was frightened of closing spaces, claustrophobia. Today, he said he was frightened of heights, vertigo. We've got to find him again, Cat said, and make him tell us the truth. Yes, Cat, the truth. We're a team, you and I. Let's go, Ted. Chapter 29. Pursuit. But we couldn't find him. The exhibition hall was full to bursting. My hand flapped so much that Cat told me to shove it under my jacket. By now, she was reverting to mean, mad catastrophe, and our minds were at polar extremes. We ended up back at the entrance. There were several guards on duty, but the strange man wasn't among them. Cat approached a woman guard who was in the middle of searching somebody's bag. "Excuse, miss," Cat said. The woman looked round, lips turned down. "What?" she snapped. "Do you know where Christie is?" "Christie? What's it to you?" "He's a friend. I have a message for him." "A message? An important message. What's it about?" "It's private." "Private?" The woman gave the handbag she was searching back to the owner. "He's just radio. He said he's got a stomach bug. He's leaving for the day. Which means me and my two mates, here, we're on our own, right? And we've got no time to stand blabbering to his friends, all right?" "Right," said Cat. "With him it's always the same. Sick this, dentist that, dead uncle the other. Never rains, but he pours." Her lips went down and she shook her head. "Just like his name. If you do catch him on the way off the tube, give him a message from me. I'm sick of him being sick. He needn't bother coming in tomorrow now. He's fired." "Fired?" I said, thinking of people being burned on the stake in the olden days. "Fired, sacked, given the boot, take your pick." I stared at her and so did Cat. Then Cat grabbed me by the sleeve. "Hurry, Ted." She dodged past the other people exiting, dragging me with her. I trod on 3 people's feet. They were big biker men wearing thick black boots and they didn't notice. We were out in the open air across the lights and only just had time to notice the weather. High strata cloud, fine sunshine. Before we were in the tube station, at the ticket barriers, and we glimpsed the strange man walking towards the eastbound platform. "It's him!" squeaked Cat. "Hurry!" I took my ticket out of my pocket. My hand shook itself out so hard I dropped it. Cat screeched. I picked it up. The machine plucked it from my hand and spat it out on top. Pick it up, Ted, pick it up! I'd forgotten that barriers don't open until you've retrieved your ticket. I picked it up and went through. Run! I ran after her, head off to the side, and I saw her hurl herself onto a waiting train and the doors beeped about to close. I stepped on and got trapped. It felt like I was being squeezed about 3 dimensions into 2. Cat heaved the doors up. Cat heaved at the doors and yanked me in. Ugh! She turned into a tornado, an unstoppable force. He's in the next carriage down, not far from the door. I can see him, she said. I'll keep my eye on him. We'll get off when he does. It was a ratting old-style tube train that screeched and jerked. We held tight to the bar as it took us to the sharper bends. Sloane Square, Victoria, Blackfriars, Tower Hill, Aldgate East. The tube destination said Upminster. We're going all the way out there. After Stepney Green, Cat stooped into a crouch, like a tiger about to spring, and dragged me into a stooping position too. He's getting up, she hissed. The train braked and it pulled into Mile End and halted. There was a pause. Seconds ticked by. Everybody waited silently. A man opposite tapped his foot on the floor. With a swoosh, the doors opened. Cat grabbed me and flew off the train, almost knocking over a gentleman trying to board. Sorry, she muttered, pulling me after her by the sleeve of my sweatshirt. She ran behind a chocolate machine. The strange man was walking briskly down the platform and up a flight of steps. Now, said Cat. We emerged from behind the chocolate machine. Don't run, Cat said. Saunter. Saunter, I said. I'm not good at sauntering, but I did my best. We sauntered down the platform, up the steps, through the ticket barrier to the street entrance. Cat spotted him across the street. We crossed too and did some more sauntering behind him. He never looked around. His hands were in his jacket pocket and his head was down as if he was having a long train of thought. He paused at a corner by some traffic lights and outside a pub called the Falcon Arms. We stopped too. After a moment he went inside the pub. It was a large, grubby building with big bay windows and no curtains. It had a drooping white banner across the entrance saying, Open all day. Above it swung a sign showing a picture of a falcon perched on a branch with a mouse in its beak. You could tell from the way its mouse tail was flying behind that it was a very strong wind. Maybe gale force 7. What now, Cat? I said. We wait, Cat said. Wait, I said. As long as it takes. You know what Dad says? What? Pubs are black holes. People go in there and never come out. He's only joking, Ted. We stood there on the street corner for 5 minutes. Cat got restless. The traffic streamed by and Cat said, and she streamed by Cat and she said, felt like more like a sore thumb. Her thumbs looked fine to me. I was just about to ask what she meant when she said, I'm going to sneak up to that pub window, Ted. Stay put. I watched her sneak forward. She approached the bay window like a 00 agent on a mission to save the world. He's propping up the bar, she hissed over to me. I imagined a bar on wobbly trestles, liable to fall down at any moment. She took another look inside. He's got a long glass of dark brown stuff in front of him, and he's hardly touched it, she reported. He's watching TV on the big screen. She rejoined me. He could be in there for some time. Let's cross and wait by a television shop near the bus stop. We can watch TV while we wait, and people just think we're waiting for the bus. We crossed over by the lights and stared at the TV images in the window. People chatting, laughing, shaking their heads. A mid-afternoon game show. We could see but not hear them. We had 18 different TVs to choose from, but they were all tuned on the same channel. The game show ended and the news came on. 18 screens of soldiers in a foreign country walking up dusty streets with heavy guns. 18 screens of African children with flies around their large eyes and no clothes on. You could tell they were starving. 18 screens of Prime Minister giving a speech at a convention. His 2 hands shaking themselves out over the podium as he spoke, a little bit like mine. Then 18 screens of our living room, our sofa, times 18. Rashid, times 18. Aunt Gloria with her white sweater, her orange lips and pale cheeks, times 18. She was talking. The cameras went in close. I could see the word, please. Cat gasped. Auntie Glo, Cat squeaked. Our living room on TV. I forgot to tell you, I said. You forgot to tell me? They called in the press. The press? They came in a big van. They came while I was gone. Yes, Cat. And you didn't tell me? No. Cat rolled her eyes. Didn't have a chance, Cat. Not with all those motorbikes. We watched as the 18 shots of our living room switched to 18 pictures of Salem. The one of him in his school blazer, looking neither happy nor sad. Then a telephone number for contacting the police. The story ended. The next was about the latest mission to Mars and showed a robotic probe collecting specimens from the planet crust. Kat stared at it without seeing it, chanting, "Our living room, on TV," to herself. I was interested in the pictures of the bare landscape, wondering what the Martian weather conditions were like, and if life might ever have existed there. Neither of us noticed until it was too late. A firm hand grasped my shoulder. And Kat's. I turned around, and so did Kat. We were face to face with the strange man, and he smelled of alcohol. His eyes were slits. His lips were pressed up tight, and I knew what that meant. Anger. Extreme. His grip hardened on my shoulder, so it hurt. "You again," he hissed. Chapter 30. The Road to Nowhere. Kat said nothing. I said nothing. His grip relaxed, and he took a step back. He wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. "You followed me, didn't you? You followed me here from the scooter show?" Kat nodded. "That missing kid, the one on the news, is that who you're looking for?" "Yes," said Kat. "He's not just some kid, he's our cousin, Salem. Why do you think I had anything to do with it?" "Because it was right after you gave us the ticket. Salem went up the London Eye, but he never came down again." The strange man looked at us with one side of his lip up and the other down, his nose scrunched up and his eyebrows bunched together. "Crazy kids," he said. But he wasn't looking at us. He had his eyes raised upwards as if we were floating above him and in the air. "We're not crazy," Kat said. He looked down again, gave a strange kind of smile. "This cousin of yours, who went up the eye and never came down, you say?" "Yes." "Kids don't just vanish into thin air." Kat sighed. "That's what the police said." The man's eyes shifted round from her face to mine. "It's serious," Kat said. "The police are looking for him, and now it's all over TV." "I don't know anything about it. I told you before. Did you really just buy a ticket and not decide to use it?" The man looked around and backed away. "It wasn't exactly like that," he said. A bus crammed with passengers had pulled up at the nearby stop. A woman with a buggy struggled to get on, and the driver stared at her with his lips turned down. The strange man glanced at the bus, then looked at us. "It was this bird," he said, his words speeding up. The bus revved up. The wheels of the buggy spun, and the woman seesawed into the platform. My hand was shaking itself out. "This bird in the queue, that's who I got the ticket from." "A bird?" I said, thinking of crows and pigeons. "A dark-haired chick, nobody I knew. I was just passing. She called me over and said how her boyfriend hadn't shown, and she didn't want to waste her ticket, but she didn't want to lose her boarding slot either. So she asked me to go over and give it to you." "Why us?" said Kat. The man shrugged. "Dunno. You were kids, right, at the back of the queue? I guess she took pity on you." Suddenly he dashed over to the bus before the doors shut. "It's her you need to talk to, not me, if you can find her." Then he gave a strange laugh. "Wait!" screamed Kat. "Don't go! Wait!" She ran after him, but the cross-looking driver shook his head at her and shouted, "Full up!" and shut the doors in her face. The strange man raised his palms upwards as well as his hands, and the bus jerked forwards and gathered speed down the high street. "Oh, hell," said Kat. I said. "Shut up," Kat shouted. The bus, along with the strange man, disappeared under a bridge. Kat clenched her fists and banged them on her thighs, like she was a boxer fighting herself. Then she kicked a Coke can on the pavement into the gutter. "The road to nowhere," she said in a voice so loud that passers-by stared at us. "One great waste of time." On the word time, she crushed her boot down onto the Coke can. "Road to nowhere." The boot stamped up and down, and the Coke can went pancake flat. "Nowhere." She burst into tears. "And which way's the tube?" "I've forgotten."